All right. And it did the thing again. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna leave y'all on this while I fix that. Cameron, you can say hi to whoever you can see, but don't try to scroll yet. Well, good morning and hello. It is Me More Monday. All right. So, I did see Steve.
What the hell?
I did see Steve. He can only be here for a few minutes, because he's doing that whole investing in himself thing, which is awesome. I saw JDF. It looks like she gets to join us live again temporarily. And then other Steve says, "Oh, my eyes." Scrimshaw Rose, Megan Anderson, Will Banks, Pancho Ramirez, Jen McGinnis. Can I have the thing?
Sure. Yeah, you got to give some love to JDF because she drew first blood this morning.
Yes.
All right.
She keeps buying us. This sip is for you, JDF. Thank you so much. Yes, indeed. Thank you. And then James Wilbanks. And then I saw David S. Dude, are you okay? Like, you flooded the infamous thread and then went silent. We were about to send people to your house, man. Like, we were going to do a full-on wellness check.
Yeah, totally. And we know where that is.
Okay, so before we get started,
Hey, did you catch Sergeant Major? I just popped in down there and I see
think
Jen.
so. Well, either way, good morning,
Good
Sergeant
morning,
Major.
everybody. Okay.
Did you have a good weekend?
I had a drill weekend, which is to say I spent the weekend with the kids, cleaned the house, cut grass, played some catch in the yard, watched some cartoons.
Oh, so somebody else had a drill weekend.
Yes. And my mother fed us a beautiful corned beef brisket last night. Yeah. The night before that,
guys, if you don't know,
I fed Ma and Granddad and my kids quesadillas, but they weren't just any quesadillas. They were quesadillas made with the leftover T-bones from Friday night.
Yeah.
So it was at least culinarily speaking a pretty damn good weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, it has been known for decades now that if you go to Chris's house and you leave hungry, That's your fault. They will feed you. In fact, they'll probably be offended if you don't eat something, or at least like take a cup of coffee or a glass of bourbon or something. Okay? If you leave anything less than satiated, that is 100% on you. And corned beef in particular.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So
my weekend was fine. Thanks for asking, fuckwit.
That was my next question. How was your weekend?
I worked.
I expected that would be the answer.
So actually,
in fairness, I would have been working Saturday too.
I'll say this though. You know, a funny thing happened last weekend. As we know, I'm a college football fan. I used to be. Alex from the TPS report joined us. Good morning. I used to also watch professional football, and then I just got tired on it. Got tired of it. Got tired on it. Got tired of him kneeling and everything else, and hands up, don't shoot. And Colin Kaepernick lost his job because of more racism and whatever.
Yeah, see, I wasn't terribly affected by all that because I gave up on football like 42 years ago.
Well, it's actually kind of your loss. I'm telling you, man, you're the one missing out. Like, all your talk of strategy and violence and everything, and yet...
I've watched football. I've seen football. I understand football. It's cute.
Right. It's more than cute. We might actually fight if you go down this road. Be careful. But a funny thing happened on the opening weekend. Georgia played Oregon, a top 25 ranked team.
Right.
Yeah. Dude, yeah. Like 49-3. Just like to the point to where I was chatting with Danny and from the TPS report, and I was actually asking her, it's like, hey, are we sure Oregon's ranked top 25? Because this is Urgly, right?
Urgly.
And then last weekend Georgia played a no-name team. I mean, they had a name, but they were not ranked 25. And then it was only 33-0. And it occurred to me, I'm like, only 33-0. It's gonna be a good year.
Well, maybe we could do some episodes during football season where we look at some highlight reels.
Yeah, I will say this, and as Steve says in the comments, and then I know it's Me More Monday, but he says highlight reels are fine, but football is too damn slow. I think if you were brought up on hockey, like, I mean, yeah, lots of shit happens in hockey, right? And it goes fast. It goes fast as hell. But like,
and I have enjoyed the odd hockey game as well. But
they'll take like 27 shots at the goal and only hit it once. Like in soccer, man, they run the whole time. But there's a reason why that Spanish dude is goal every time somebody. Anyhow, okay. We have yes, Jen says they had their practice team playing this weekend 33-0.
And Uncle Steve says rugby. Now, there's some stories there. All right, so
Me More Monday.
Let's get into the Me More Monday, and we're going to start with this one. This is the title card here about end stage capitalism, late stage capitalism.
Boy, that's a cute linguistic trick, isn't it? Let's just invent capitalism's almost dead, guys. It's late stage. It's terminal.
So, Cameron introduced me to this dank meme horde group called the which one is this? The
Left Can't Meme Hall of Fame.
The Left Can't Meme Hall of Fame. And I was peeking at it this morning to kind of see, early on to see kind of what we wanted to cover today. And I was really looking for like a raft of memes to cover like we usually do. And instead, I stumbled across this. Now, you have probably all seen a form of this, but not this particular one. I stumbled across this, and wow, this we've talked about why the left can't meme, and part of it is because, well, in large part of it, is because their entire worldview is based externally to reality. Example, you saw the RoboCop reboot
No, I didn't.
with Samuel L. Jackson as the Fox News correspondent.
I didn't watch. Dude, I saw the trailer. That's
Okay.
why I didn't see the
Okay.
RoboCop reboot.
The movie is supposed to be this indictment of Fox News as a propaganda organization, private military organizations, and private gun ownerships. And by the time the movie's over, they've basically made the case that Fox News is a good thing, and everybody needs to be armed because you can't trust the government. They basically make the exact opposite point that they're trying to make.
2 out of 3 I would even agree with.
Yeah,
Everybody
because
should
Fox
be
News
armed.
is not your friend.
That's right.
And David points out the meme would be factual if they swapped the terms. So it says hard times create socialists. Socialists create good times create capitalists, and capitalists create hard times. So I'm going to run you down this real quick. First off, let me give you the history of the world. The history of the world is men and women made domestic partnerships which became romantic entanglements for the purpose of rendering progeny, and struggled mightily in concert with one another to survive in a world that sought to kill them. The result of these unions and progenation was the rise of basic social structural organization. First the family, then the clan, then the tribe, etc., 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 until you come to a system of feudalism, wherein a bully pulpit commands territory and makes functional slaves of its entire inhabitancy, but to the mutual defense profit of the entire collection. Through that, until nearly the 1800s. What? Okay, until nearly the 1800s, the bulk of the world, the vast majority of the world's population, struggled and suffered in abject poverty until they died, leaving behind progeny without inheritance. And then we got capitalism. Throwing off monarchies and tyrannies and establishing free governments where free markets could offer trade between consenting, informed, intelligent adults voluntarily. The result since then has been an absolute increase in global standard of living.
Oh,
right?
yeah, it used to be if you lived longer than 40, wow. If more than half your children made it to their 5th birthday, wow. Like, and those of you with kids, like, man, that's a thought I don't even want to try and wrap my head around. You had 4 babies so that you could guarantee 2 of them made it to adulthood?
Right?
No, thank you.
So, share of the population living in extreme poverty by world region, right? Sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, right? Your least decline is in Sub-Saharan Africa, and it's still a dramatic decline over just 20 years of data, right? Same thing. You look at average score for the Index of Economic Freedom, 95 to 2017, near straight line. GDP in trillions of 2010 US dollars, 93 to 2015. Percentage of global poverty, of global population in poverty, 93 to 2013, right? Dramatic changes in numbers as a result of capitalism improving your world, right? And even in life expectancy, right? World life expectancy, 71.4 in 2015. Global average life expectancy prior to that, average below 40. Because there are a lot of places out there where people just don't keep it together in 1770. Right? So this this absolute psychopathy is not a mistake. It's not a misunderstanding.
Yep.
This is the enemy simply lying. This is sophism of the highest degree. And it's bought up by baristas and hipsters everywhere.
Yeah, they're useful idiots. They don't know that they're spreading a lie. They honestly think they've got some spicy, cutting edge, right there on the tip of the spear type of point. And instead they have no clue how utterly stupid they sound. We've talked before about how it really is a miracle that the Industrial Revolution and the formation of this country and the tail end of the period of enlightenment and everything all coalesced to come together. It's not an accident that if you start at the year 1800 and you look at basically every metric, the good stuff continues to track up and the bad stuff continues to track down. And capitalism had an absolutely integral role to play in that. Somebody says, I am a humanitarian. If somebody says, I love my fellow man and I want to do everything I can to take care of them, cool. You should absolutely 100% be a capitalist, because no system ever has lifted more people out of poverty. And the left's right about one thing. Poverty will slowly murder the absolute shit out of you. They're correct about that. Now, the difference is I actually want people out of poverty. See, I believe if you give somebody an opportunity to work his way out of his failure, he probably will work his way out of his failure if given the opportunity.
Of course, if you just pay a man to stay home and not work, you are Greece, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, and, yes, the Ukraine. This is what socialism looks like. A change in GDP. Yep.
We had Venezuela that was on track to be the most prosperous country in South America. Chavez comes in, nationalizes the oil companies, and that's a cute term when you nationalize a thing. More of that linguistic fuckery.
Taxation is nationalization. We're going to nationalize your dollars.
Right.
I'm going to nationalize your paycheck. Now, hold on a minute. Hold on just a minute there.
Hey, not the whole thing. We're just going to nationalize part of it. For the greater good.
We're going to nationalize part of your paycheck for the greater good. Now, hold on a minute there, comrade.
So, Chavez comes in, nationalizes the oil companies, and then does the thing that socialists do. Spends a bunch of money. Borrows a bunch of money, spends a bunch of more money. And as long as oil prices kept going up, he was okay. He could keep spending those places. The second oil prices crashed, because capitalism. Suddenly his country was broke. And y'all, do you know why they don't have functioning zoos in Venezuela anymore?
Because they roasted all the lions over trash fires?
Actually, yes. That is 100% correct.
So this is the meme that you're accustomed to seeing. Right. Hard times create strong men. Yes, adversity grows strong men. And that's because necessity is the mother of invention. We have a problem, and we apply our ingenuity and creativity to solve that problem. The result of solving that problem is that we improve the world, right? Strong men create good times. Good times, however, here's where we come to the socialism piece. And this is something that the commies don't understand. These champagne socialists and limousine liberals, they don't understand that never in the history of the world, there are two things. It has never been the case that socialism developed without first having had capitalism create the surplus of wealth required to initially fund the establishment of a socialist state. And two, socialism and communism have failed everywhere, every time they have been tried or applied. Yes, even in the United States, everywhere that socialism has been attempted in the United States, it has failed miserably. Case in point, Great Depression. Case in point, Amtrak. Case in point, Obamacare. Case in point, Joe Biden.
Well, in the Great Depression, and Joe Biden's trying to make this not true, but the Great Depression is probably the best example of what we're talking about, because Henry Morgenthau Jr., okay? FDR's Treasury Secretary said himself...
Oh, no, I'm with you, but were y'all ready for the weeds? Because that, my man's the weeds. Get you some.
Okay. Henry Morgenthau Jr., FDR's Treasury Secretary, said, and I'm going to paraphrase the quote, we've tried spending the money, and it doesn't work. All we did, we still have all the same problems, and now we have increased debt on top of all of that.
Yep.
So it is what it is. Y'all, we learn about FDR in our history books as though he was this lion. That's a good thing he was in a wheelchair. Otherwise, he would have been a god emperor, you know? And in reality, y'all, do you know that unemployment, and this is back when we counted unemployment accurately, by the by. Do you know that
I think it's cute that you think we did that once.
Well, okay. We might be frozen.
Okay, it looks like the camera's frozen, but we still have the audio. So you keep talking and I'll fix the camera.
Okay, so anyhow, y'all, do you know that for like a solid decade, unemployment didn't fall below 10%?
No.
Yeah, it's almost like if you spend a bunch of money on artificial...
Oh, that's what's happening. This is the camera. Stop leaning on the USB drive.
Okay. My bad. Anyhow, it turns out if you spend a bunch of money propping up a bunch of bullshit, it doesn't actually help anything. It just makes things look good on paper temporarily. So yeah, man, late stage capitalism.
Yeah.
And I've actually gone down the rabbit hole on that one. There are YouTubers that have put out like 30-minute video essays explaining how this is the inevitable point of capitalism. Not that it's the deliberately achieved point, but
right.
But
and that's the piece that they miss on what they call late stage capitalism. Late stage capitalism, the reason it appears to be failing is because what late stage capitalism actually is socialism and eventually communism. What late stage capitalism is capitalists, smart, strong, creative, inventive men, have drafted a great mass of wealth and prosperity, which weak grafting moochers come in and decide to redistribute. And it is when you have external government involvement, which is required for redistribution of wealth and for the establishment of a monopoly. You cannot have a monopoly without the enforcement of an external force mechanism. Without men with guns seeking to do violence on behalf of the monopoly cannot exist. Right?
Yeah, you hear about how corrupt the robber barons were, but
and
you
so
never
the result,
hear about how the government helps them be corrupt.
So basically, the weakness of capitalism is that it refuses to kill communists. It refuses to defend itself with violence against socialists. And never forget that the battle flag of the socialist, the argument of Karl Marx is that you should retard with violence any attempt to demonize your munitions. And I agree with Karl Marx on that point. Any attempt to seize your weapons should be resisted with force and violence, as should any attempt to seize your means of production, your livelihood, your life, or your family and friends. I mean, force and violence are valuable things. And like I think we covered on Friday, we discussed on Friday again that there is no such thing as a good pacifist. A pacifist is a person who believes that nothing has value. A pacifist is a person who is incapable of love. A pacifist does not cherish anything except for peace and death. The pacifist's understanding of peace is death.
Yeah. I had more, but I feel like that's a good thing to punch out on. And
yeah, let's punch out on that one, and we'll pull up some of the funny memes and do a little bit of that chew for...
These are going to be kind of scattered. I thought I had them in a particular order.
I'm deeply disappointed in him.
Yeah, I don't know how I did that. However, it starts strong.
Start strong. Don't shoot, I'm retarded. Prove it. We're stronger economically than we have been in history. Now, in fairness, this is a great one to follow the last conversation.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's you want to talk about fortuitous. And I love...
we're losing JDF. Peace out, JDF. Deuces, and be safe out there.
We lost Steve as well, so bye, Steve. He's probably already gone, but whatever. Anyhow, yeah, like this is one of those things where, on the one hand, these intellectual effete types will look you right in the face and say, late stage capitalism, and then they'll say, strongest economy ever. You know, the one that I love, and I meant to include a meme about it, is where they're like, man, gas prices have fallen for 80 days in a row.
Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, for 80 days in a row, gas prices have fallen. They've gotten down to almost only double what they were between this shitbird was put in the office.
Yeah, I know. It's like, wait, you're bragging about that? Chris, I punched you 10 times in the face today. And then I stopped.
But it wasn't 20.
And then I stopped. See, I deserve credit. Oh, yeah, it's awful. We've talked about this before.
This isn't funny. This is just on point. Go ahead.
I follow Zuby. We've talked about this before, and this is a fantastic explanation of the gaslighting that happens, and again ties back into our discussion about late stage capitalism and how it's bullshit. There's an ongoing pattern of something is blatantly obvious. Some people point out that the thing is blatantly obvious. These people are attacked and ridiculed. Time passes. The experts concede that the blatantly obvious thing was correct. No apologies.
You mean like Venezuela?
Well, I mean, look, we could just restrict this to things that have happened in just the past 5 or 10 years.
We could.
Like, it was blatantly obvious that Russia did not help Donald Trump steal an election, just as an example.
Right. Jussie Smollett.
That's one. Like, yeah, it was blatantly obvious that...
What was his name? Bubba, the pole rope? Bubba Wallace?
Yeah, like, and the Jussie Smollett thing in particular, it's like, I couldn't even get through the man's whole story.
Right.
It was like,
well, Dave Chappelle even did a piece about it. Dave Chappelle did a joke about it. He sits there and he goes, uh-huh. So it's 2 a.m. and you went out for a sandwich. Uh-huh. Wait, they was wearing a MAGA hat in Chicago at 2 o'clock in the morning? And he leans over, he's like, yo, officer, hey, find out where Kanye was last night.
I mean, and then, of course, all the stuff with the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we're allowed now to
say... every original claim made by the CDC fell under number 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, right? I don't think there was a single claim made by the CDC from the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic that did not get retreaded by the CDC. And every claim they made originally seemed outlandish, and people said, hey, that seems crazy. Maybe you ought to rethink your claims. And then here it comes. Oh yeah, totally. We got it wrong. We got that one wrong. And now, in fairness, we got that one apology where the director of the CDC, I think the new chick said, yeah, we got all this wrong and we're going to do better in the future. No, hold on a minute. You got all this wrong, and we're going to fire some people.
Yeah, that's the one thing about that. That's like, who's getting fired? Nobody. Some people are getting moved.
You know who needs to be fired over the CDC handling of the coronavirus?
The CDC.
The CD fucking C.
Yeah. Right.
Well, you know, I got time for one more, and then I got to get moving because it's 8:00. And
keep going.
I got to be somewhere at 9. Okay. Okay. Here's your warno, YouTube. I am about to say that Sam Harris made claims. I am not going to make these claims.
I'll find us on Rumble.
But for the sake of the commentary, I am going to point out that Sam Harris made the claims for the purpose of discussing what he claimed in relation to those claims. Sam Harris made the claim that the 2020 election was rigged by outside forces, and then went on to assert that that was the correct thing to do, nay, the morally right thing to do. And I've seen some of the rebuttal on this where people have said, well, maybe he misspoke, maybe he didn't mean what he said he meant. And he came out the next day and said, I misspoke, I didn't mean what I said I said. Or what I didn't mean what I said when at the time that I said it. Or I was misunderstood. Except here's the thing. In that podcast, the other two lefties there with him stopped him and said, now hold on a minute. You just said the election was stolen and that was the right thing to do. Is that really what you meant to say? And he said, not just yes. He didn't just make some non-committal kind of nod of the head, point of the chin. No. He said, yes, that's exactly what I mean. And then repeated the claim.
That's not exactly the language that he used. What he said was everything that happened with Hunter Biden's laptop is so absolutely status quo that we shouldn't even think about it. And when you couple that with the fact that Orange Man is just that bad, meh, whatever. That's already how we operate. And at least it got rid of Trump. So Pontius Pilate, motherfuckers.
Yeah, basically no amount of immorality, shenanigans, and dirty dealing is beneath the level of moral superiority if you are, a good party member. I might even go so far as to say that Sam Harris might be flirting with
I know you gotta go
inner party.
End on the next one, because the next one's important.
Oh, the next one's too long a conversation. Should be a longer conversation.
No, it doesn't. I think it makes its point. Everybody knows that yeah, everybody knows that J-Law, Jennifer Lawrence, who is as recently as just a few years ago was saying things like, yeah, but maybe people should be allowed to have guns, and maybe there are things that shouldn't be political, and I have family members that think differently than me, and I still love them, and blah, 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 blah. And now, of course, she's virtue signaling to Helen bags. I have nightmares about Tucker Carlson. And then here's all these pictures of her with a Weinstein. Y'all, I don't know if y'all heard or not, but apparently Harvey Weinstein was kind of creepy and would do things like show up in a bathrobe and say, we're going to do this, or you're never going to work in Hollywood again.
But I will say again the thing that I've said before as regards the Harvey Weinstein case. The Weinstein case was kind of like
that's
Ukraine.
Why we can't. Okay, keep going. I'm sorry. Keep going. I'm sorry.
The whole Weinstein case is kind of like Ukraine. There are no good guys here. Weinstein's a creep, yes. But the actresses that slept with him to get roles in Hollywood are whores, not victims. They engaged in a voluntary activity. According to their own testimony, they did not say that he raped them. They said that he offered them jobs in Hollywood in exchange for sexual favors. Now, if they said he'd raped them, that's a very different conversation.
You were right.
But instead, what happened is Harvey Weinstein solicited prostitution And these starlets voluntarily surrendered their dignity, their honor, and their personal courage in exchange for wealth, power, and fame. They are not victims, they are whores.
Be a whore and a victim at the same time.
I'm sure you could, but these aren't.
See, you're right.
Voluntary.
We shouldn't have ended here because
All right. So
you back somebody into a corner. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't make you a whore. It's like, oh, you've given your entire life to this, and now you're either going to be in my movie or I'm going to fucking ruin you. Like, it's not the same thing. It's not like these women.
I get this one.
It's not like these women went up to. Well, I'm sure some of them did, but according again to their testimony, they didn't solicit him. Hey, I will sleep with you if you will give me a part in a movie.
I didn't say they did.
Yes, he'd back him into a corner because it wasn't just I'll put you in this movie if you sleep with me. It's I'll ruin you if you even say a word about this.
See, I told you we should have stopped because I do have to button this one up. We will see you tomorrow.